Hey folks, Steve here. How you doing? I don't often do this, but I posted a video very recently, and it had to do with traveling from upstate New York to California to Oregon and back. Along the way, I picked up some lightweight plywood out in Utah, and the point of that video actually was the fact that I had to move my daughter out to Oregon. We had to pick up furniture in LA from my son, and there were tools that I knew that I would need or thought I might need on the way out. So I shot a video and I lost the actual, I think it was really the heart of what I was trying to do. I lost some video, never shot it, never hit record, I don't know, about the tools themselves. And that was kind of the point. So I pieced together the video. I thought it had, okay substance, edited it, posted it, and it did well for my channel, which, if I get 200-300 views, that's a good video. And if I get over 1,000, that's like for me a viral video. But the fact is that I lost the content that really was the heart of that video, and that was the tools that I took and what I did with those tools. This is not stellar information here, but it is the heart of that video. So I'm out here and I'm actually going to show you really quickly the tools that I took, and I'll tell you what I did with these tools on that trip. And really it was for some light repairs at my son's house, since I was out there and I'm handy, why not go ahead and help him out. And also the disassembly of furniture, the packing of it, and then the reassembly of that furniture when we got to the new apartment. So let me open up this thing back here. I'll pull the tools as if I were loading them, and I'll tell you exactly what I did with them and if they were useful. And I'll pull the tools I didn't use, and I'll tell you why I thought I should have them and didn't need them. But this was for a cross-country trip from here all the way down to LA, where my son lives. His old apartment still had his stuff in it because he moved into a furnished house. And so we took almost all that furniture. I disassembled it, moved it to Oregon, reassembled it, and then back down, had a visit with him, and then up to Salt Lake City for that lightweight plywood that I've been dreaming about for years now at Reparadise. You can, reparadise.com, I'm assuming. You can check their website. You can call them, you can talk to them, and if you order 10 sheets or more of any of their plywood, I think it's like a straight $500 shipping charge. If you order less than 10 sheets, then you're going to pay shipping on like per sheet. Don't quote me on that. That's my understanding of it. I went out, I actually was there, I loaded 11 sheets, brought them home with me. And I will be building with them, and I'll film it, and I'll show you what I've got. And I'll try as best I can to weigh it when I get there. All right, tools, right? Let's get to the tools. Okay, so first things first. I knew that I wanted to take tools because I knew that I was going to have what I just told you I was going to be doing. I knew I was going to have to do that. And I had this grand idea of really kind of thinking it through over a cup of coffee and writing lists down of the tools that I would have and why I would take them and all of that. Frankly, that didn't happen. I might have had the coffee, but I never made the list and I never really thought it through. All of a sudden, it's like the day before we're leaving, I am loading bins into my truck and all of this stuff, getting tarps around. And then I remembered, oh no, I'm supposed to have some tools. So I popped this thing open and I just grabbed this bag and I started loading. So what did I load? First thing I was loading, and this actually just rode in my truck, is this right here. So this is I think it's a 1/2-inch impact wrench, and I loaded this specifically for changing tires if I needed to change tires. I don't know if I figured this out on my own or if I took a page out of Richard, Renovations and Repairs out of Michigan. I think I might have taken a page out of his book as far as his like EDC in his truck or something like that, or his emergency kit. But he seems to always have impact wrenches right ready to go to change tires. Awesome idea. To that, I have 2 sockets that live with this thing and that rode with it, and it's a 5/16 and a 3/16, and I honestly believe I need a 7/8 for some lug nut somewhere, and I don't exactly remember whether it was my daughter's car or my truck or whatever. But anyway, so I think I'm missing a size, and if I get that one, then I have all 3 sizes that I am aware of for lug nuts. And if there are other lug nut sizes, I'm more than willing to get those as well, because it just saves a lot of time with a breaker bar. All right, so this. I also had loaded that with one of those 60-volt flex batteries right here. And that way I knew I had runtime and I had power, because that's a 20-volt tool, and this is a 9 amp hour if you're running it on 20 volt. If you're running it on 60 volt, it's 3 amp hour. Take that number, divide it by 3. What else did I take? Thinking about changing tires, I took a flashlight, also for working with battery. I took my other flashlight, again for changing a battery, or for changing a tire, also with batteries. I did use one of those flashlights for some work that I did at my son's house. A little bit of a low light area. My old eyes need a lot of light anyway, so that just worked out. Speaking of lights, around living on the back of my trailer, I did take my construction hat, which is just my old Colorado hat, and I did take these two headsets for rechargeable battery-powered headlamps. I took both of those. Okay, so from there, I took a driver, and I took a drill, both of which I used. I used the driver a lot more, especially with some furniture disassembly and reassembly, and picture installation, because we're going to a new apartment, and my daughter wanted to hang a lot of pictures, and her roommate, and so this came in very handy. I did have to drill a few holes. I think it was more so putting pictures, but I did actually use this a couple of times, so it was nice to have that. Thinking of impact driver, I took these bits right here, just a random kit of bits. I took right beside it this kit of bits, because I'm just grabbing knowing that I've got a lot of different bits in these kits. I just threw them in there, knew that I was probably going to have a solid selection. And I also took these again because it was just handy to grab and throw in the bag. In my truck, however, I am carrying a bit kit with some drill bits as well. Speaking of drill bits, down in my drill bit drawer, this kit right here I also took with me, and it has several drill bits, and I know I used at least one, if not two, drill bits out of this kit. Up here in my magnets, I was able to grab an extended bit. The one I grabbed, actually, this is a square drive. I did grab a Phillips, and I used it, and I actually wore the tip out. So because of that, I needed to replace it. When I went to the store, I simply replaced it with a Ryobi extension bit that'll take, like 3/4 inch driver tips. I took multi-tool and just a random selection of blades that I keep with my multi-tool, and of course a battery. I did not use this. I had the opportunity to once because we had a piece of furniture that could have used kind of an additional support leg. Inexpensive furniture, you sometimes can get a little sag with some weight, and I could have actually made a support, and I could have used this simply to cut a small piece of dimensional lumber down to a particular size. We didn't get that far though. We did run out of time, and so I did not use this. This went all the way to California, Oregon, and back, and I never used it. For basic repairs and a little bit of plumbing that I knew I was going to have to do, I took a big set of vice grips. I took a couple of different size adjustable wrenches. I also, because it was a pain to pack, if you will. There's just no place really for it, especially as loaded down as my truck was. But I did take my tool belt, simply because it has a lot of stuff in it. And so I grabbed this, and I have a ton of things. I'm glad I did. I needed a hammer, driving pictures, things like that. I needed, on a couple of occasions, I needed some linesmans just as a set of pliers. I used quite a bit, utility knife. Hanging pictures, while you can drill holes, I also punch holes, and so you can actually see the drywall still on these two. Tape measure came in very handy. Long screwdriver. When I was doing some plumbing, I had to do some prying, and I actually had to clean out a clogged drain, and a long screwdriver was very helpful for that. I had to pull a couple of nails. Certainly, 6-in-1 screwdriver, used this quite a bit. I did have a little bit of prying to do in a couple of cases, and so this flat bar actually came in handy. And I even used a couple of chisels when this flat bar for prying was just too thick. The chisel was much thinner, and it allowed me to have the leverage to do some prying. Marker actually came in handy, simply because we had some screws that I had to put in something. They had to be black. The only screws that I had available to me were silver, but it worked out. I was able to kind of color them in, and where they were positioned, it actually blended in. It wasn't an eyesore anymore. We did a little painting out there, so, just a paint can opener was nice. This is a Klein screwdriver for electrical, right? This is a Klein screwdriver, and this is probably like a 4-in-1, one of those little stubbies, and it's probably a 4-in-1. I have had an 11-in-1, which is quite a bit longer, And it has, you know, the flat, the Phillips, square drive 2 sizes, and I think Torx star drive 2 sizes. And of course all the inserts are like nut drivers. I gave that to my daughter, but I did actually use that a few times as well, just because of the different bits. And so I wasn't actually having to go to this kit right here and dig out the bits. That was nice to have. I gave that to her. I'll replace that later because it's a darn handy screwdriver to have. Happy to have it. And so this is just the stubby version of that. I think I got these in a kit, this one and the big one. Back in my day, furniture was assembled and disassembled with Phillips screws, or maybe even flathead screws. You know, I'm old enough to say that's how furniture was done. These days, it's about Allen screws. Fortunately, in my tool belt, I carry this kit from Cobalt, which is various sizes of Allen keys, Allen wrenches for Imperial. On the other side of my belt over here, right underneath the handle strap, I have the metric version of the same thing. And I found that first off, all the furniture I took apart was, I believe, metric when it involved Allen wrenches. So this was a key to it, and I believe it was 5s and 4s. Yep, I used the number 5, so maybe a 5mm quite a bit. And then on the flip side, I used the 4mm quite a bit. So this is very handy. If I were to move anybody again like that, I would definitely have a good long set of Allens, and I would have the metric, and I would have the Imperial, but that would have been a lot more efficient than what we did. Lastly, I did take a little bit of electrical. For electrical, I went ahead and took a decent pair of linesmans just for the torque of the long handles if you had to grip on something. Set of needle nose. I always love to have needle nose pliers. They are just darn handy when you need them. I went ahead and took traditional wire strippers. I didn't think I had any electrical to worry about. I might have had one thing that I did, and I might have used these. And the other things that I took, an electrical tester. I like this Greenlee because the electrodes actually have a very long metal shaft right there that you can get into outlets and things. And however, I did also take this tester, which will plug into an outlet, and it's also a tick tester if I needed to test for, you know, for current, like that. And so it would let me know that there potentially is current flowing. But otherwise, it was really about having the outlet tester. And this I did use. A third of the outlets were off in my daughter's apartment when we came in. I looked around first in the panel, and it looked like everything was set. And so I was thinking, well, maybe there's a GFI that's tripped. Through further investigation, once the dust settled, once we got all the furniture all set up and boxes were put away and the bins were emptied and clothes were being stacked and all, then I had enough time to wander around. I checked all the GFIs that I could find in that apartment, and all the GFIs looked good. So I looked around again, went back to the panel, looked a lot more closely, and there was a breaker that actually was it was tripped. And so I was able to off on, let it go, nothing tripped, went back, tested one outlet that was not functional, and it was functional, and it was wired correctly. Then I went and checked all the others. I don't know if that was downstream of that, but all the others that we could verify that had been off, everything came on. It was beautiful. But it was nice to have this, simply because I could check, and I could start troubleshooting if I needed to. Those are all the tools that I took, other than I took 2 different jacks. Besides the jack in my truck and the jack in my daughter's car, I took 2 additional jacks. I wanted to be prepared if we had a flat tire. What can I do? What can I do effectively and efficiently in order to get us back on the road, whether it's to a repair station or whatever. It was just nice to know that I was prepared. Fortunately, we had 0 problems. Well, that was the heart of that video. It wasn't in this level of detail. It was more just as I was putting the tools away. I said, oh yeah, and I used this and then I put this thing away. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I am sorry that I lost that footage in the previous video, and I simply just made a list of the tools. This is what I took and used. This is what I took and didn't use. But this is more of an explanation. Traveling that far and doing what I did, it was a nice set of tools. Thanks a lot for sticking with me, folks. I hope this video gave you the details that the other video should have and just lost that footage. Thanks for sticking with me, folks. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. These things, it's a nice hobby to have, and it's nice to see the channel grow. And more so than anything, it's nice to interact with you all. Most of the time it's one way, but I really appreciate those comments. Well, anyway, we're on our way to 1 million subscribers, and it's all because of you. I think we're only 997,000 subscribers away. I mean, that's practically, next week. So look forward to that. Otherwise, I am planning when I hit 3,000 subscribers to do the famous Richard, Renovations and Repairs out of Michigan. He does, I think, every 1,000 subscribers or something. I think he does a giveaway. I actually won something in one of his giveaways. It's a red tool. That red tool has not made its way out here to the vast yellow tools that I have, but it probably will. But I'll do a tool giveaway, and I will not be giving away that red tool. So anyway, looking forward to that. That's just kind of a nice little benchmark. Otherwise, y'all take care. I hope to see you on the next video. Bye. This, I believe, is a much better video showcasing those tools, specifically with what I did with them and what I didn't do. Otherwise, I will go ahead and tack on some other parts of that video that are relevant and try and tie it all back together again, but this is the new stuff. All right, thank you very much. Hey folks, Steve here. How you doing? Lots of things in the works. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Channel's growing, and that's just really, really super cool. We're just shy of 1 million by about 997,000 subscribers. So, man, we're going to be there before you know it. So, it's all thanks to you. So what I'm doing today, besides the update, is, and you might have seen this at the beginning of the video, maybe a little bit of preview, I'm going to take a little bit of time and I'm going to review some tools that I took with me on this cross-country venture, and I'll let you know my experiences on that. All right, well, let's get to it. So here are a few things right here before I put all this away. Plastic I bought before I left, and this was really about getting the plywood home. We didn't need any of this prior to picking up the plywood. So that plywood is actually wrapped in plastic because it had to survive 3 or 4 days on the road, and it's a good thing we did it because we went through torrential rainstorm. Also, bought the blue tape while I was out there just because it actually came in convenient for a lot of different small things. I took an extra jack. This is the jack that I carry with my trailer, and also the jack parts. Again, I carry with my trailer, so they just store up there in the nose. I pulled them out, threw them in my truck, so I had extra. I also have one of those flat jacks that, you know, 4 wheels. I'm not quite sure exactly what you call it, but I have like a Husky version. I don't know if it's a 3-ton or whatever it is. But anyway, it'll go from whatever the height of it is up to about 18 inches when you fully extend it. And I threw that on a cargo shelf that I had on the back of my truck, one of those metal cargo shelves. So I threw that on there, threw some bins on there, and just ratcheted it all down. In case we had a flat tire, I wanted to make sure that I had more than ample ability to jack up and make sure that I get the tire off, new tire on, whatever it was. Also, thinking about having to repair a tire, I also took this. I have down there an impact wrench, just rode with me in my truck, and I had the sockets that went along with it. And just so I had enough power and runtime, I went ahead and threw a 60-volt flex on there, 9 amp hour. That thing right there is a first aid kit. I went ahead and threw that in my truck as well. Normally that lives somewhere in the nose cone. Other than that, I took my tool belt and I just made sure that it was kind of fully loaded with a complement of hand tools, and that did come in handy. I did not use all those hand tools. I wasn't actually doing a project, but several of them. And then everything else went in this mid-sized DeWalt bag, and this is the bag that I'll unload for it. So it was that quick to put everything away. It wasn't really all that much, but it is super cool having some kind of a build out like this, van, truck, trailer, doesn't matter, and where, you know, everything has a place. And fortunately, in a design like this, things can go different places. If I don't like where that radio is, I can, you know, there are a couple of other places that radio could actually live in this trailer. So I like the modularity of it. However, everything really does have a place. Charged batteries right there, and if it's not charged, it goes on a charger anyway. So I do not need Oh well, that didn't happen, so we are doing the best that we can. So that's life as we know it at the SDS Construction YouTube channel. Well, I'm here.